What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist, Stokastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Leans. His likes and his locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. I mean, the NBA is out of control. These injuries and the fact that they were trying to fix injury issues and resting, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. There's too much money involved for these teams. They care too much about being healthy come playoff time. It's just going to be a disaster. That is just what I want to throw out there. Also, the NFL sucks. Mark Andrews hurt right off the bat. Tyler Boyd doesn't get over 4.5 catches. You're not going to have a happy Eric tomorrow. That's for sure. He's at 3 right now, though, so that's good. Probably just jinxed it. Anyway, let's get this started right away. There are 11 basketball games going on in the National Blowout Association. Looking forward to this one, friends. But got producer Jacob on hand. He's excited. We'll talk about the Bet 365 later. I have nothing quick or witty or funny to say here at the intro. I'm just mad. Let's get to the bets. I want to let it be known that I'm saying all of this, and the Golden State and Oklahoma City game hasn't even tipped off yet, which was the heavy investment, of course, of today. Can Chet get over 7.5 rebounds as well? That was in the premium Discord. If it wasn't, congratulations, then you didn't lose money because, again, I have no idea how this ends up doing, but Mark Andrews getting dinged up. I didn't even have money on Mark Andrews, but I have players like year-long. Everybody else, fantasy. Mark Andrews, complete disaster, having him go down in football, whatever. Also, Jimmy Butler's having a phenomenal basketball game. Mikal Bridges is up to 18 points. This whole Miami and Brooklyn game, it's just awful read. Whatever. It's 2 games that are on Thursday. We have a lot of games on 11-game slate here. Let's talk about Milwaukee and Charlotte, and I'll quit bitching and complaining. How does that sound? Cool, great, grand. No yelling on the bus. That was Billy Madison. But Milwaukee, the big news is very obvious. It's like it's like bright light shining on you. Giannis Antetokounmpo missed last game. He is questionable, but what's weird to me is the wording of this. So hear me out. You've got a Milwaukee team that is questionable with Giannis Antetokounmpo, but the structure and the wording around this 2 days ago, as of hearing this because it was Wednesday, was right calf injury management. Now, when I hear that, I think you have to be fine to be playing here on Friday, right? Because it's injury management. And now Milwaukee 2-8-1 against the spread here. They've been horrible as a public team, no doubt about it. But Milwaukee -6, again, this is just straddling that middle type number where, hey, we're looking at a way bigger number here. In the event that Giannis is active, you're looking at 8.5, potentially 9. You're looking at 4, potentially 3.5, 3 in the event that he is out. Now, you saw Dame Lillard join the fray once again because my Lord Almighty, looked fantastic against Toronto, just lit them on fire. Just 31 minutes, 37, 13, and 4 seems pretty good to me. I mean, he's very good at basketball. It was only a matter of time. Nice stuff from him in the absence of Giannis. But Giannis is one of the most important players to a team in all of basketball. That's not surprising. It's not shocking. He's been top 3 in terms of estimated plus minus the last however many years. Like, we're talking all of the years combined. So there you go. Enjoy. I'm looking here at Charlotte, though. There is no doubt whatsoever that they're terrible. Like, let's be dead serious. This is a team that as you work through anything that they have in terms of advanced metrics, they are bottom 10 in adjusted defensive rating and adjusted offensive rating. There is no salvaging this Charlotte team in any way, shape, or form. Just say it. 22nd adjusted offensive rating, even with a Mr. Ball there. And of course, you have Gordon Hayward news that is kind of lingering out there. That is massive because JT Thor replaced him in the starting unit. I don't know what JT Thor's purpose here is on this basketball team, but it's surely not to produce any type of points or assists or rebounds or to any way be productive. So, like, Gordon Hayward, that's a piece of news that could go against you. And of course, we're waiting on Brandon Miller, also questionable. Only played 10 minutes against the Knicks, then was out last game. We shall see. But seems like there's more pieces that could go against Charlotte than there are going for. So I'm looking at the wording of this. And yes, I'm analyzing wording of the injury report. Right calf injury management. Either Milwaukee is hiding something from us, or that wording leads me to believe that Giannis should show up and absolutely obliterate Charlotte here in this spot. So I want to just throw it out there. I'm bet it. Enjoy it. -6. Milwaukee. I like it. I think this is one that can definitely work for you. And yeah, Dame Lillard, nice to see him in action again. The Knicks and the Wizards up next. And guess what game I won't be watching on Friday? I'm not going to spend my Friday evening grinding over Knicks and Wizards. Are you? I'm sure not, but I had to break it down because that's kind of my job to do it. And RJ Barrett, he'll be questionable yet again here for this one. You got Quentin Grimes. That's another one that's kind of interesting to me. Makes me think that if somehow, some way, Books posted an Emmanuel Quickly prop, somebody that constantly is going to have some type of usage for this Knicks team off the bench, even if they don't want to start him over like any circumstances. It's been Josh Hart starting in the absence routinely for Quentin Grimes when he's not in that unit, or not Quentin Grimes, excuse me. We're talking RJ Barrett. But with Quentin Grimes out, that could make it very interesting. Is it DiVincenzo or is it Quickly? I'm not even sure I would necessarily want it to be Quickly, but I would be on the over of his points prop sitting in that. Well, it depends. There's a couple of different ranges it could be with two pieces out there because those minutes become a little bit more solidified. But that'll be a wait and see approach on that prop because it's not posted. Why would it be? This is posted, though, 228. I feel like that's a pretty big number when you start talking about this Washington Wizards team and their inefficiency. Now, they play at an absolute breakneck speed, so there's that. They're first in pace so far this season at 104.7 possessions per 48 minutes. But their adjusted offensive rating is at 109.6. I'm going to give you some context of what that means. It's dog shit. 27th in the NBA. They're also terrible on defense, which would lend you to think, hey, we should maybe be looking at the over. But of course, the Knicks, they're led by Thibodeau. They are dead last in pace in the NBA this season. So like 228, that is as big of a total as you will see all season long, unless it's Knicks Pacers. And even then, that might, I don't know. This is just a lean for me. I can't pull the trigger on this because it's Washington. Washington has driven me absolutely bonkers. We got over 150 cents, the better way of saying $1.50, of closing line value on the Luka Doncic triple-double the other day. Of course, he plays 32 minutes in an absolute blowout. Goes double-double, didn't get the rebounds to come along for the party. But you know what? Nobody's saying we have to bet a Washington Wizards game, so there's points in time where you just say enough's enough. Under 228, just going to lean, probably staying away from anything that isn't Emmanuel Quickly related in this one. Massive news waiting in the wings here. Philadelphia, Atlanta, and of course, Joel Embiid was questionable last game. He ends up playing against Boston. He's questionable entering this one as well on the road. I'm not sure if that's elevated. Kelly Oubre, we know, may or may not have faked a car accident. I don't know what is going on with this. Somebody explain to me. I mean, he did get hit by a car. Maybe he just doesn't know what intersection he got hit at. I don't know. Something's going on there. Let's just figure something out here. We got to find whatever the hell happened. But Joel Embiid, questionable. He's who matters here in this spot. Nicholas Batum, he's going to be out as well. Robert Covington sliding into that starting unit. That is going to be something we pay attention to. Played 37 minutes against Boston. 37 minutes. Just throwing it out there. Might be looking to short stuff if people think he's going to be playing 37 minutes. I doubt the books are that silly, but we'll see. Batum out might actually matter here. But I'm looking at Philadelphia, and this is the same situation as we talked about with Giannis, except for Giannis sat out last game. So, like, Joel Embiid, considering he played last game after being questionable, again, he doesn't have injury management written in his breakdown, but just saying, they're being cautious. Milwaukee should be cautious. It's middle of November. Nobody cares about your playoff implications here, but at least this has play-in tournament implications, which producer Jacob did inform me Tuesday. Much more competitive, much more fun to watch, yada, 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 so on and so forth. Enjoy that. Oh, Joe Burrow questionable to return on Thursday. Is this real life? But anyway, Jacob, he loved the basketball that he saw there on Tuesday. Yay! I do like Damian Lillard's quotes talking about how much it meant to him to play for his teammates. He could also just cut up some of that $550,000 game check he gets every single time, and I'm sure they'd be okay. Taking a couple grand here, a couple grand there, and that would work just fine too. But yeah, go ahead and make their life-changing money for your tournament that is supposed to mean something NBA cool. Also, that 6 really blends in with that blue graphic over there. Just thought I'd point it out. There's no fixing it. I mean, the Sevens are playing the Hawks. Anyway, I don't have a play from here. Philadelphia -1. This is just going to be a straddled middle line. Once again, you're going to see Atlanta heavily favorite. Well, not heavily. They'll move to the favorites, no doubt, if Joel Embiid is out. If he is in, you're going to see Philadelphia move to 3 or 4. This is a frustrating one. But again, the verbiage has me staying away from this one because it might sound like it could be questionable. Maybe questionable. Swear to God, if Giannis sits, I'm going to be so pissed, and I'll never see that $55 again. All right, we started with a like. This is going to be one of those lean/likes where it's just a question of how risk-averse you are, because when you get injury reports like this the night before, again, you want to try to bet some of these early. Now, if you're looking at shorting things, taking unders, let the public move things towards lock of a game. That's why we do something where it's like an hour before. That's when I normally post my card in the premium Discord. Also, we got some really cool things in the work here at Odd Shopper. I'm very, very, very excited. Not even going to spoil it for you. You'll be learning pretty soon. But Detroit, 8.5-point dogs here against Cleveland. And there are two massive pieces of news here. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, both questionable. Darius Garland missed last game. Donovan Mitchell did not. Put up 34, 6, and 4. Just, I mean, you play Portland, you could beat them blindfolded with one arm. And just Donovan Mitchell still find a 30 spot there. That was a pretty easy one. 30 spot. But as we look at this one, I don't know what to make of the injury report. I just know Garland already missed last time. And that in and of itself, as I break down what he means to this basketball team, has me leaning towards taking the points right off the bat. And in fact, I haven't pulled the trigger on this, but this technically, it says like on my screen. It comes out in yellow, which yellow means like, green means lock. And that's how I do things here when I break it down in sim games. But in this specific spot, the Detroit Pistons are not good. Cleveland plays very, very slow. But you start condensing games to fewer possessions, and that lowers the variance. It also creates something like an Oscar Thompson, who's just been awesome and fun to watch. Anybody else enjoying it? Awesome, cool. Marvin Bagley, going to be questionable here for this one. I expect him to play. If he doesn't, very unlikely to me James Wiseman jumps into that rotation right out of the gate. Might jump into the rotation, but he won't start, I wouldn't think. Isaiah Stewart would have to be that guy. You're that guy, pal. You're that guy. But as you look at Cleveland on the other side, Evan Mobley, nice to see him have a nice game. You're starting to see more and more minutes coming in for Jared Allen, 29. That's the high point of his season against Portland and just made DeAndre Ayton his you-know-what. But I think we want to take the points here. Again, this is just because Detroit is so bad on the road in Cleveland. And this one, I don't really have a feel for which way the injuries are going to break. So I'm just going to tread lightly, as Walter White would say, plus 8.5 on the Detroit side. A leanish like, look at that. Lovely producer graphic. He's just such a pro. He can do emojis and cut them in half. What a world. What? Huh? All right, here we go. Injury report. Jaylen Brown, questionable. Kristaps Porzingis, questionable. OG Anunoby, doubtful. Gary Trent, now probable. I think there's a chance he ends up starting here in this spot, but he had right plantar fasciitis. Sounds like he's going to be good to go here. I have no idea what to make of anybody's minutes anymore. I have no idea what to believe in. Dennis Schroeder, maybe he's just tired from putting Germany on his back. Ooh, Avitacin, a little bit of that action. I don't know what to tell you. I hate this game from a betting perspective. I'm going to very much enjoy watching it. Would much rather watch this than just about anything else that I've been breaking down. But, like, what the fuck do I do here? What do you do here? Kristaps Porzingis and Jaylen Brown both ended up out. I took the under 30.5 points. Some people took unders of 29.5 when I talked about it and typed it up and whatever. He finishes with 29. He goes on an absolute berserk fourth quarter run to almost make it a sweat there. And, well, it was a sweat. 30.5, got the under of Jason Tatum through. I don't think I'm going to do that against a Toronto team that, I mean, have you seen a like Katy Perry song played out more than this? You're hot, then you're cold. You're yes, then you're no. You're in, then you're out. You're up, then you're down. And you look at some of these metrics for Toronto, and it makes you want to bash your head in a little bit. 21st in adjusted net rating. We're talking 23rd in adjusted offensive rating. They've not been a good offensive team this entire season, but they've been 10th in adjusted defensive rating. They've had one of the more difficult strengths of schedules, especially offense facing defensive team, 4th in defensive strength of schedule going up against specific teams. So there's definitely a ceiling for this Toronto team in the way that it's constructed. I think that they can be maybe not a contender in the East, but they could be a playoff run, darling type squad. I just don't want to get in the habit of picking on Boston ever. Boston's been pretty profitable for us this season. Out of this 6-3-2 you're looking at, I think we've been on the better side of it just about every single time. This will not be one of those where we pull the trigger. So we're going to call it a one big fat lean. One big fat lean. You can take that lean and shove it here. We got the Sacramento Kings taking on the San Antonio Spurs, and a couple of pieces of news that we have on the injury front in this one. It begins with, well, no, that's not correct. I'm looking at it wrong. There we go. Keldon Johnson, questionable yet again here for this one, was out last game. We're going to be paying very, very, very close attention to this. Oh, wow. We do get Dario Saric starting alongside Kuminga. That is a fascinating one. Thought that maybe they would go to Looney in that event because, well, we got the news Kuminga was starting earlier, but you don't care about that. That's starting in like 20 minutes for me, and I'll have to do some fixings. But Keldon Johnson, going to be questionable for this event. We got Trey Jones, doubtful for this event, so I'm not going to see either one of those. But Sacramento, said it right from the get-go. Getting De'Aaron Fox is such a massive, massive, massive difference maker to this team. In the early going of this season, they had barely snuck into the top 15 in adjusted offensive rating, and since Fox came back 2 games, they've moved up to 10th. Again, it's because of a small sample size. They've only played 10 games, but this is a team that I could not believe how well they played against the Lakers, specifically Domantas Sabonis. What a shout out to him. I thought he looked great on the defensive end against Anthony Davis, and sometimes Anthony Davis can get fading away for no reason. Sometimes Anthony Davis looks like he's never played basketball, and he looks like a carp who just came out of the water, like, oh, flopping around like a carp. That made me think of Pokemon too. Magikarp, Magikarp. Anyway, nobody cares about those things. You care about basketball and actual analysis, not me being goofy. And some of you want me to just get to the point, but you know what? This is my show. You can just skip to the picks if you really want them that bad. I don't know what you want me to do. I want to help people get better at this. And this is, friends, what you do. You look at the assist rate for one Domantas Sabonis with De'Aaron Fox in, and you look with De'Aaron Fox out. Very, very important, noticeable difference. Not only is it better, it is exponentially better. We're looking at Sabonis north of a 34% assist rate this season with De'Aaron Fox in, south of a 30% assist rate with Domantas Sabonis out. 4% is a massive difference over a longer sample size, and we already know Sabonis to be one of the better rebounders in the NBA, a 20.1% total rebound percentage for his team. That is high. Just throwing it out there. So, in competitive spots, he's going to play more minutes. And if this game isn't competitive, it's probably because Fox and Sabonis torched their souls. Now, Kevin Huerter had an absolutely irrationally good shooting game last time out. I don't expect that to repeat, but it's nice to see in order to help create assists because it was a lot of dribble handoff movements. And sometimes I want to break down the tape from time to time, but it doesn't really matter. You can just simply see that Domantas Sabonis, a lot of attempted assists, a lot that actually converted 2 games beforehand against Cleveland, but didn't have the same looks there because De'Aaron Fox was playing with the ball in his hands quite a bit on the offensive end against the Lakers, staying away from Anthony Davis, trying to keep him involved on Domantas Sabonis. And again, Sabonis was finishing at the rim against AD, who's one of the better shot blockers in the history of the NBA. At least, I mean, Wilt Chamberlain probably would have been if we had the counting stats, but nobody gives a shit. Would have liked his life, though. He had some fun, if you know what I mean. But we are looking at Domantas Sabonis to triple-double purely because of the assist rate, purely because the rebounding rate, I mean, him to double-double is major minus money all the time, as it should be, because those rebounds and those points, they're not foregone conclusions, but they're pretty damn close. And the assist rate up with Fox, sitting north of 34%. I really, really, really think there's room for it to grow here as they get healthier. And in these spots where, hey, I don't expect a blowout here, should be pushed into more minutes. Orlando taking on Chicago, and I have a play from this, and it's grungy, it's disgusting, but here's the thing. I know a lot of you don't like unders, but they pay the same as overs. Did you know that? You could bet either side of it. If it's minus 110 on both sides, and you could make money betting unders. It's a little known fact. Let's try to take advantage of it here. Orlando and Chicago. The big news is DeMar DeRozan. Does he or doesn't he? He has a personal issue that he's away from the team for. I don't know what it is. I didn't really look that hard for it on Twitter. All I know is that you got to play basketball. You got to be in the arena, or you're not going to play basketball because he'll be away from the team. So I know they're trying to move him. LaVine talked about that before. Feel like I was ahead of the curve. And I will say, Zach LaVine, you don't want to be playing him bunches and gobs of minutes. They played him 36, looked like kind of a hard cap. If you're asking me, he had been playing 41, 39 in competitive spots. I think it's pretty telling to see 36 in a competitive spot against Orlando. Thought it was a pretty sharp way to go take advantage of some unders. If I do say so myself, I had a couple on some cards, but not anything that I was going to make a standalone play at the books, just correlated cards. And that's a conversation for Prize Picks, for Underdog, for other sites that we will talk about here very, very shortly. Might be putting together a TikTok. I don't know. I'm a little old. I'm a million years old, and ain't nobody get. Well, I probably have time for that. But Orlando 8-3 against the spread. Chicago 4-7-1. We've been backing Orlando a lot. Not saying that we've been perfect against the spread, because God knows, I have made my fair share of mistakes here, but been profitable against the spread this season. It's just that for some reason I can't convert any of these double doubles here for the last 2-3 weeks once Jalen Duren went out. It's just been painful and suffering, and I don't know what to believe in anymore. Well, I know to believe in Nikola Vucevic, generally speaking, when you have revenge in your heart against your former team. But hey, it's the same matches as they had last time out. He didn't look all that interested. 0 for 4 from 3, 17-9, didn't even double-double. It was atrocious. But DeMar DeRozan, a massive piece here. I think you might be able to just fire it up like I did. Half a unit on the under of 216.5. We're talking about the Bulls. Not exactly the most fleet of foot here. Could be missing one of their better defensive players, and that puts Patrick Williams, whose only defense, that's the only thing he's good at, has him on the floor a little bit more. Alex Caruso, perhaps one day? Probably not. I don't know. We'll see. He's probably should be playing in this one. But Alex Caruso, I want to just see more minutes for. That's what I'm getting at. Under 216.5, that would be nifty. This is also nifty, friends. Bet $5, get 150 at the link below. Over with our friends at Bet365. It's only available in 6 states, that being the great states of New Jersey, Ohio, Kentucky, Virginia, Iowa, and Colorado. If you are located in one of these 6 states, congratulations. You can bet $5 and get 150 in bonus bets on anything. Or if you want the first bet safety net up to $1,000 in bonus bets, you could bet $100, $200, up to $1,000 on anything you want. And if it doesn't win, you could get $1,000 back in bonus bets. So if you truly believe in something and you have the bankroll for it, you could fire up to $1,000 and get it back from Bet365. Or you could bet $5. Again, deposit $10 or more, bet $5 on anything, and get 150 in bonus bets when you sign up at the link below in one of those 6 states. Only if you're 21 and over, 18 and over in the great state of Kentucky. Go Wildcats. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. You know what's better than 1 triple-double on the card? It'd be weird if it wasn't 2 triple-doubles after doing that, but, it is what it is. It's 2 triple-doubles. We're looking at Denver. We're looking at New Orleans, and I bet you know where we're going with this. So let's start on the New Orleans side. CJ McCollum, really, really ridiculous stuff that's going on with him. I feel so bad for him. This collapsed lung issue that he has. He has no timetable for his return, but at least shout out him. Sounds as though he got some really good news this week. Was looking into that a little bit more to understand the condition. We're still going to get a lot of Jordan Hawkins dance in my khaki pants. We're still going to get a lot of Dyson Daniels, things of that name. Yeah. Jordan Hawkins, Dyson Daniels, they're going to be playing more minutes, which creates opportunities for the likes of a Brandon Ingram and a Zion Williamson if they would like to join in on playing some basketball here. Again, they ended up putting their foot on the throats of Dallas here. They got blown out the first time around. Then they blew out Dallas. 27 minutes, 19-7-5 for one Zion Williamson. That was fun to watch. But then Brandon Ingram, 25-9-7. He's the main guy where it's like, hey, if you really wanted to push the envelope on a double-double, maybe that would be the direction. But not grading out with positive expected value for me. But what is Nikola Jokic, of course, who's just an absolute baller. It was a little bit disappointing. To see him fall just a hair shy. 32-16-9 when I fired him hard against the Clippers. And my God, that was really, really brutal. We'll talk about this Clippers situation because I think there's going to be some fun stuff to take advantage of here in the very, very near future. And yeah, you're going to have to like some unders. But Nikola Jokic, there's no doubt that the absence of a Jamal Murray, that was the main impetus for what really got us to the next level with him last year. But I got to say, Michael Porter Jr., nice to see him playing some actual basketball here where there's some ceiling for him. 47% from the field, looks really good coming off of screens, looks really good in like that dribble handoff motion with Jokic at the top of the key. But he has room to grow in terms of three-point shooting. 35.4% so far this season. I expect positive regression for him in that department. Aaron Gordon, only 32% from three. I expect positive regression there as well. In fact, everybody's been shooting pretty terrible surrounding him outside of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's shooting 45% from three. And he's still finding triple-doubles because they are going to him with every single possession. Reggie Jackson, 35.7% for anybody who cares. So you're not going to get those same obvious looks that you have with Jamal Murray shooting better than 40% from three at the top of the key. You're not going to get those pick and roll style assists. But the thing is, Jamal Murray isn't going to be carrying the ball with him in these spots. It's going to be Jokic creating, sitting in the post, doing a lot of those things that like create extra opportunity for those triple doubles. And I think that's been very obvious here. So anytime you're getting plus money against a team like the Pelicans, who, yeah, they have some decent defensive pieces. We know who they are. Herbert Jones. Pretty much only Herbert Jones. That's kind of my point. Nikola Jokic is going to just have a field day spreading the ball around here in this spot. And considering they go to him pretty much every single half post or every single set in the half court, you just keep firing this. He's triple-doubled in 2 of his last 4. Again, you give me plus money, I have to do this. He's averaging 30, 14, 8.5. Again, those assists have room to climb because Jamal Murray, he's not going to be creating his own shot. In fact, nobody else on Denver is really going to be capable of creating their own shot without those guys. So, like, this is a phenomenal play. Borderline lock here, but I'm just going to go a little bit light because, again, I want to make money on these a couple times and, you know, quit getting completely fucked over. I am a little upset. We got Minnesota facing Phoenix earlier. Obviously, this is Phoenix facing Utah, but we're going to talk about the last game. We locked Minnesota. It's great. Had a half unit play there. +6, +6.5 for Minnesota. You get Bradley Beal gets ruled out from the clouds, from the absolute clouds. No idea that it was coming. And now he is doubtful for this game, but still, what does Phoenix do? They go out and they just completely wallop Minnesota, 133-115. And Minnesota was on a back-to-back, that's true. Kind of a weird construction there. And yeah, sometimes you get that closing line value and it doesn't mean jack diddly squat. And that's okay. From time to time, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they're going to outplay people. Will they outplay people here? I'm not sure. But I'm a little bit interested to find out if we could find some value here from Utah. Phoenix is going to be one of those public teams. You see 5-5-1 against the spread. Utah, they've been pretty neutral. We haven't gone out of our way to back them in any department other than Lauri Markkanen points. And yeah, I would like to see that usage come up. Would also like blowouts to stop being a thing. 31 minutes against Portland, had a small play on the over of his points, 24.5 there in that spot. Finishes on 21-9. Absolute pain and suffering yet again. Again, these double-doubles, these points props that have just been affected by blowout after blowout after blowout has just been insane. But you know what? You got to deal with it. These are things that happen, and I just trust the math over a longer sample size. We're less than 1/8 of the way through this NBA season. Most teams have played 10, 11 games tops here at this point in time. There's so much basketball to go that you have to stay the course. And hey, I'm willing to change things if I'm wrong, and I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong on things. Sometimes blowouts, you just have to factor them in. You have to be able to figure out teams that might play more to the standard deviation curves. We're talking 68, 95, 99.7. We're talking 3 standard deviations away on the bell curve from the mean. Anyway, we are looking at something here at potentially backing the Utah team. And this is where math kind of wins out over any kind of a long sample size. We have a doubtful Bradley Beal. Minnesota was playing on a back-to-back. I will say that Minnesota didn't play up to their potential. There were some weird things like, I don't know, Rudy Gobert getting his fucking neck choked. Night, tried to get sleeper choked. But at the same time, you got to play basketball, and they just didn't show up. Utah. I mean, basically nobody's playing basketball. Nobody's on a back-to-back. Nobody's on the second end of a back-to-back here on Friday. why wouldn't we possibly back Utah here in a spot where you're missing one of the key cogs who's been there longer? Devin Booker came back one game, and I understand he's had more experience playing alongside Kevin Durant and understands how that's going to operate. You get Grayson Allen, who can be kind of a glue guy for this team, and you get the split Nurkic. Nurkic didn't even show up the last two games and hasn't really even mattered. Drew Eubanks, he's probable for this one. They can always go to him and he's played awesome the last two alongside some of those big two, but the big two. Bradley Beal's not one of them. But I think Utah money line's at least interesting. They're completely healthy on the other side. Only Walker Kessler being out. Actually, that's not completely healthy. That's kind of a lie. But Utah otherwise has been the same iteration of Utah for the last 3 or 4 games. And they project out a lot better than plus 150 for me here. They're actually closer to a plus 160, plus 165 team that we could potentially get here. Sorry, they're better than that. They're plus 135. But I think we want to just sit, wait. Think we might get something better here. Going up against Phoenix, again, I expect them to be publicly backed a lot in spots like this. If this moves to 5.5, 6, and we get that plus 160, plus 165 that I'm looking for, then you can pull the trigger. Otherwise, this number, it's a little bit better than break even. It has a positive expected value attached to it, but I think I'll wait. I think I'll just pause. I'll let you know. Hit me up if you're curious and want to bet against Phoenix. I bet a lot of you don't. Just throwing it out there. Now, I talked about how good Domantas Sabonis was the other night going up against Anthony Davis, but this is my ode to LeBron James, who somehow, some way might be underrated because in the social media era, everybody goes nuts about certain players and, the young athletic guys, the Victor Wembanyama's were just, he's so fun to watch. It's not our problem, but 21 years of greatness from LeBron James. Dude puts up a triple-double. He's now had the 5th most triple-doubles in NBA history. The second oldest player ever to put up a triple-double the other night against Sacramento. Didn't matter because everybody else on his team was dog doo-doo, but still, LeBron James is outrageous. I say all this knowing that he is very well unhealthy going into this basketball game, and yet we'll be playing basketball here. Not unhealthy in terms of it's a calf issue, and it seems like it's actually a calf issue, but they're playing Portland, and producer Jacob, he said before we started this segment that he thinks LeBron James is going to be playing basketball all season long in all of these spots. I have kind of that feeling, but also these are spots in Portland with no Malcolm Brogdon, no Scoot Henderson, no pulse or sanity. They have a terrible basketball team where you could go out and LeBron James could have a night off in Portland and this team will still be favored by 4 or 5 points and should be able to win because Anthony Davis is that guy. Now, Anthony Davis just got embarrassed and humiliated by Domantas Sabonis and the Sacramento Kings. I don't think he really cares. He's very rich and he's going to be fine. And this isn't exactly playoff basketball yet, but 3 for 9 from the field, 9 points, 9 rebounds. Anytime you have Anthony Davis not putting up, 30 or a double-double, it's kind of a lost cause. You're probably going to be in trouble as the Lakers, but this is a bounce back spot against DeAndre Ayton, who is confirmed not very good at basketball at this point. This is tough to watch. This entire Portland team is pretty tough to watch. They're going to be starting some iteration of, Shaedon Sharpe has been playing a ton. Skylar Mays has had some of the more ridiculous points plus rebounds plus assist props I've ever seen. The 27.5 the one day that we played it, smashed the under. It was beautiful. But Matisse Thybulle is being relied on to put up minutes and points. Those aren't things you want from Matisse Thybulle in the year of our Lord 2023 or any year for that matter. He is a defensive first and defensive only player who's now having to be inserted into some kind of an offensive role because Toumani Camara is not very good right now. He's got some room to grow, but even though he's been the guy who's been starting recently, it's not a long-term fix here for this team. Now, Duop Reith, I will throw out. I've kind of enjoyed watching him at the center position. He's a guy who can step outside and knock down threes. Only 5 for 16, but nice to see him a willing participant in shooting. And, DeAndre Ayton isn't going to stretch a rubber band, let alone shoot threes. So just throwing it out there. I think that analogy worked. But let's break this one down a little bit further, mainly because there's one play in particular that I have my eye on from this one. I think you're going to want a single game parlay because I think they might make it available before it even begins. But D'Angelo Russell, I'm not a fan as a real-life basketball player. I've made that known repeatedly. But this season, the usage has been far more spread out than what I was expecting. LeBron James, 30.1% usage. Anthony Davis, just a 23.5% usage. Third is D'Angelo Russell there at 22.9%. Now, I think Rui Hachimura and his 21.7% usage would be in that starting lineup based on recent play and based on if LeBron James is out is what I'm getting at. But that's not really a concern to me if you're going to talk about a number as low as like 20 and 5. So again, 20 points plus 5 assists for a D'Angelo Russell. That's something that I think is far more attainable than what some of these numbers are alluding to. D'Angelo Russell's had a 28.8% assist percentage. LeBron James, 28.3%. So it's actually been high man D'Angelo Russell this season. Offense has been playing through him a lot more than what I was expecting. And I think the obvious perk is that you might get numbers available for him with this LeBron James news pending. Now, I expect LeBron to play. But knowing that it's Portland, knowing that they're going to be massive favorites anyway, and if this calf issue is actually a thing, which, again, there were moments that he didn't look completely 100% the other night, but that's what happens when you're in year 21 of your NBA career. This is an absolute Hulk slam type play. So D'Angelo Russell, with that 28.8% assist rate that goes north of 30 in the absence of LeBron James, and a usage rate which would have room to grow, him and both Anthony Davis would go way up from 23.5%. I think 20 plus 5 here for D'Angelo Russell is something that if you can find a way to get invested on this before the LeBron James news, you're going to want to do it because it's hard for it to get much worse based on this opening number. So pay attention to those things. There are places that you can make these things available. And again, D'Angelo Russell points plus assists. I'm going to pay attention to that at pick'em sites as well. So pay very close attention to this one. Think there's some value to mine out of here. We reached the end of our boarding walk and something that opened like 1.5, 2 points higher than the current available number. Yeah, it opened about an hour ago, and it was the very first play on the card. Couldn't believe that I saw it, but I've been looking for the opportunity to short Ivica Zubac here for a while, and it's sad because from a DFS perspective, my first $100,000 win was because of Ivica Zubac going completely ballistic in a Lakers uniform, and from that point on, I thought about maybe naming my first kid Ivica. Like, that's how much I love this man, but you know what I love more? Money. And money talks, baby. And we are looking at shorting Ivica Zubac. We have the Houston Rockets taking on the Los Angeles Clippers here in this spot. Zubac, he's the obvious odd man out when you talk about a starting lineup that consists of Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Zubac. It's like that three-headed dragon gif where it's like the one going, that's Zubac. But it's like 5 dragon heads. But James Harden's probably on the other side of it doing that. So they're probably both on both ends. Anyway, the Clippers, they've been playing terrible basketball. That's not surprising to anybody. It's been a little bit surprising to see how terrible they've played, that they haven't won a single game with James Harden in uniform here yet. Not great, Bob, not great. But I was very curious if the Clippers were going to make some serious changes in the absence of Mason Plumlee, because before, it felt like it was just going to be a 26, 22, or a 28, 22 type time split at the center position with Zubac. But I think they're starting to make some decisions with PJ Tucker that could change the complex of what we're looking at from Zubac going forward. And Houston might be the perfect team to go try to make this work. Alperen Sengun is not a great defender. He's really the one weak point on this Houston defense that now consists of Jabari Smith Jr., length. Dylan Brooks, confirmed really good at defense, regardless of what you want to think of him as a scorer. I think he's dog shit, but we all do too. Tari Eason back into the mix with his length. Jae'Sean Tate, some length that's added to the fray. And Fred VanVleet, one of the better point guard defenders that exist. He's not elite by any means, but he's Fred Van Elite, if you will. Shout out to my guy, EMAC. Jalen Green, not exactly a great defender either, but he's out there trying hard and shit. But we are looking at a Clippers team that I think is going to realize their path of least resistance is to try to go ultimate small ball sooner rather than later. And Alperen Sengun, he's been playing really good basketball. I think Zubac is probably going to play his typical role here, but I'm looking at my projections here right now. 24 minutes, I think, is very much on the table for Zubac based on 22 against Dallas blowout. 23 against Memphis started to allude that they were going to try to go small ball, and they don't have the Nicholas Batum and the Robert Covington there to make that work day in, day out the way that it used to. But PJ Tucker is a phenomenal defender, even at this day and age. So I think small ball is going to be something they try out more and more, because really it's all hands on deck at this point in time. Terrence Mann is back. Think that they can go to some crazy amount of minutes of him, playing Kawhi at 5 against a Houston team that, I mean, behind Şengün, Jock Landale, he's been playing like 2 minutes. He's been completely out of the rotation since Tari Eason got back. They've been going small ball. This lines up to short Ivica Zubac like crazy. And hey, there are scenarios where obviously he goes over this, but this opened at 21.5. It's already down to 19.5. I just want to throw it out there. Under 19.5. This happened instantly. I still think it's a slam. Points not going to be had in this grouping in the starting unit. You're not going to see the usage. You're going to have to get putbacks, and then we're in a lot of trouble as it is. But the rebound numbers, the minutes, I think everything's coming down for my guy Zubac. It's so sad to say, but it's true. The under of 19.5 points plus rebounds plus assists, I have him at 16. 3.5 is a gigantic difference. The best play that exists currently for Friday's slate. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays on the board for Friday. Hopefully we can get Oklahoma City to run Golden State out of the gym here. That game just tipped off. So excited to watch that. Joe Burrow got hurt. Mark Andrews got hurt. Lamar Jackson got hurt for a little bit. He came back in the game and I was throwing touchdowns. God, the NFL. Hey, NFL Lindy's coming to you tomorrow. Be on the lookout for that with producer Jacob. He can't wait to see me again tomorrow in the afternoon. That's his favorite, is he gets afternoon Eric Lindquist. Lindy in action. Anyway, smash that like button for me. Check out Bet365 if you're in one of those great states. I'm going to get the heck up out of here and go have dinner because I am hungry and it is late and I need to watch basketball and you don't care. So I'm going to leave. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck. I almost did the double. What was that? Take me to your leader. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Friday. What is wrong with me? I'm still tired.